Hey guys, this is Jen from JCats Creations, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how I make a burlap sunflower wreath. I will be using 6-inch burlap for this project, but you could use the 5.5-inch just as well. The green leaves that I will be using on the outside, I had cut these 9 inches long. So if you're using the 5.5-inch burlap, I would say maybe do like 8.5 inches for this size, and then the rest of the petals I did 6 by 6 inch squares. So if you're going to be using the 5.5-inch burlap, I would just do 5.5 inch by 5.5 inch. The 5.5 inch, you're going to end up with a finished product slightly smaller. This finished product is about 20 to 21 inches, so if you're using the 5.5-inch burlap, it's going to be a little bit smaller than that. But overall, you know, it's pretty much going to end up the same no matter what size you use. So I'm using a 10-inch box wire frame as I normally do for everything else. It's got the 4 rings and it's flat. And this burlap, I had already cut up the other roll that I used, but I just wanted to show you guys. I had bought 2 rolls. I didn't know how much I was going to use, but this is what I had got from Craft Outlet. The color on this is ivory. Actually, at the time when I ordered this, it was a couple months ago, this was really all I could get. And I know that they're still out of stock on a lot of stuff, so I'm not really even sure at this point what you could get. This was the same thing in apple green, so that's what I went with to make the flower. At the time, I had gotten one of these centers that I'm sure a lot of you have seen. I'll put a link to it just so you could see it. I know these have been sold out of Craft Outlet and all the other online places for a while. But, you know, I had decided I was going to try one of these. Since it's out of stock, I did end up coming up with something else. I just did a braided center. If you guys are interested in learning how to do the braided center, I do have a tutorial for it, but it's with the deco mesh. For this, it was a 2.5-inch wide by 10-yard roll. This was the sunflower yellow was the color. And so all I did with this, just show you how I just glue it up on the back, but I just cut the roll up equally. So I did 3 strips that were 120 inches long each, and then I braided it, swirled it like I do in the video that I show you, and this will end up to be about 7 inches, which fits perfectly in the middle of this wreath. So I just ended up going that way since the other ones can't be bought right now. I know that they are still plenty of different colors of the 2.5-inch in stock right now, though, if you guys want to try that. So pipe cleaners, as usual, I cut them in half. I don't need full length ones for what I'm doing here. I cut all the burlap with the Rotary Cutter and my mat. A pair of scissors to cut the pipe cleaners with. I mean, you could cut the burlap with scissors if you want. It's probably going to take you a little bit longer, but if it's what you got, it'll work. And that's pretty much it. It's a pretty simple, easy one. And I just want to let you guys know these marks are so I can stay in frame. I have my phone up a little bit higher than normal. I can't really see. So just, you know, so you guys know that's why those are there, so I can stay in the middle so you can see what I'm doing. So just to show you, I did most of the outer petals already, but this is the, you know, it's 6 inches wide, so I did them 9 inches long, and then I have a whole bunch of the ones 6 by 6 inch squares for the petals on this one. So I've got that ready to go. So let me just get some stuff out of the way as usual. So as you can see, I've done the majority of this already for the outer ring. I will be using all 4 rings on this. At first I wasn't sure if I was going to use the center ring, but I decided that I will. So this is the 10-inch box wire frame, so we have 5 sections. So in each section I have done 5 pieces, and I always you know, the outer ring, as I do with most of my wreaths, you know, I bring it to the next ring so they're not floppy. You know, when it's a finished product, I don't like the outer ring flopping around too much. So I'm just going to show you the fold on the 6x9. It's a little bit different, but you know, nothing crazy. And I think I left 2 to show you guys how to do that. So there's your piece, and I bring the corners like that, and then I pretty much kind of like right next to this point is where I start my scrunch, and then flip it over, and it's going to look a little oblong, you know, not as you know, perfectly petally, I guess, as a square piece would look. But you know, since this is a little bit smaller size of a wreath, I did want these outside petals a little bit longer just to give it a little bit more size, but I also wanted them to be seen. Okay. So as usual, I just kind of, you know, pointed them out, make sure that they're pretty even. So then when I attach it, I went around the outer ring, but then now I'm going to wrap it around the next ring, like I said, to give it, you know, a little security so it's not flopping around. And then I just twist the ends together. Just slide it a little bit, get it where I want it. Now I like them to be, you know, pretty pointy and full. You know, if you don't want to use that many, or if you like it to be a little more of a relaxed look, that's fine. Just don't put as many on in each section. You know, if you kind of want to let them, you know, maybe flop over themselves a little bit more, give them, you know, a little more of a looser look, that's fine too. You know, whatever works for you. And then I've got one more to show you guys. So like I said, I just fold the corners down and pretty much right here. So it's just a little bit of an off-center bow tie, more than normal, but nothing too crazy. So that's it for the outer ring. So this is 25 pieces of the 6x9 pieces that I cut. So there's that. Like I said, I do like them to be kind of pointy and just sort of give it as much volume as possible. If you want to have a bigger finished size, then you would just use a bigger frame, but keep in mind then you will need more pieces to do that, and your center would probably have to be a little bit bigger to compensate for that. So the next ring, I'm going to be going into the second ring, and I decided all I'm going to do is just go in between all the ones here. So I'll be putting 4 in each section on this second ring in, and these, like I said, are 6x6, and so these are going to be the more, you know, normal little bow tie that we're used to here. Just like that. So at this point, I choose to go through and kind of secure the petal itself, you know, separately, because as you start working more and more on the frame, it does get a little bit harder to get in there. But if you still want to wrap them around first, like I was doing with the green ones, you could absolutely do that. But it does just get a little bit harder trying to work in there as you get more into putting more petals on. So that's that. And you see how then the green ones can show pretty well. And I'll just do one more so you guys can see. This is going to be, you know, pretty quick, straightforward tutorial, because for the next 3 rings, this is pretty much all I'm going to be doing. It just depends, you know, how many petals I decide I'm going to use on each ring, which, you know, I'll tell you when I'm done. But yeah, I mean, this is really simple, really easy. You know, it's a cheaper project to do. Rolls of burlap aren't that expensive. You know, I'm probably not even going to use a whole roll of the ivory, and I still have probably about 1/3 of a roll of the green left. And the 2.5 inch ribbon that I used for the center, I think was like maybe $3.25 or $3.75. You know, so it's really inexpensive and easy wreath to make. So that's that. That's just 2 petals. So for this ring, like I said, I plan to do 4 in each section, so that'll be 20 pieces on this ring. So at this point, I'm going to go and finish that up, and then I'll put this on the wall so you guys can see how it's looking so far when I come back. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I have this layer finished now. Like I said, it was 20 petals on that ring, so I just wanted to show you guys quick how it's looking so far. And like I said, you know, I have the green leaves to where they're sticking out a little bit more so you could see them. I just thought it would be kind of a nice look, because sometimes they are a little bit hidden, so I thought it would be nice to be able to see them on this one. So once again, the next ring, I will be working on the 3rd ring in now. I will also be doing 20 petals on this ring. What I'm going to do on each crossbar, I'm going to put 1, then 1 in between here for 2, 1 in between here for 3, and then 1 here for 4, and then just start over again on the crossbar. So I just wanted to show you that quick. Like I said, this is a really simple, easy wreath, so I'm just going to go ahead now and put all the petals on this 3rd ring in, and then I'll come back and show you guys how that looks. Okay, so now I have that row done. Like I said, that was another 20 petals. So the only thing we have left here is the center ring. And on this one, since there are 5 sections, I'm just going to be putting 3 petals in each section. So this ring is actually going to be a total of 15 petals. So same thing, I'm going to go put those on, and I'll show you how it looks, and then I'll show you how to attach the center, and then we'll be done. I'll be back in a bit. Okay, so I'm back. I have my center ring done, 15 petals. Like I said, I did 3 in each of the sections. So at this point, we are done with the leaves and petals on this flower. So I'm just going to quickly show you how I attach the braided center that I made. Like I said, if you want to try and see about the styrofoam center, because that's all this is, it's just a styrofoam disc that you know, it's painted, whatever. I'll put a link to it. I know that there's different colors. I think there's like green and pink and brown. They've all been sold out for a while, but if you click on there to be notified when it's back in stock, you'll get an email when they come back. I'm sure they will at some point. But like I said, in the meantime, you know, I did want to make something that was something that could be made or used at this point. So I will, you know, give all the measurements and instructions in the description below. I'll also link to my original braided center tutorial so you guys can see that. So when I make these, I then attach floral wire in 4 places. So all I do is just kind of get it down in there the way I want it. And I do the same thing on the deco mesh flowers when I do the braided centers. So this part is exactly the same. And then I flip it over. I usually hold it with one hand underneath until I get 2 of the sides secured. Kind of helps keep it even to where I want it to be. But I just wrap them around this center ring. And burlap actually is a lot easier to do this on than the deco mesh. The deco mesh always kind of wants to push back out and fight it, but the burlap, it just kind of sits in here pretty nice. So it's actually not bad at all to attach it. And then I just pull it tight, twist the wire. Like I said, it's just a, you know, pretty quick, easy, inexpensive way to make a center. I flip it over at some point, just make sure I'm still centered. Okay, still looks good. And then just do the other 2. Sometimes I lose them and I gotta find them. Let's just kind of push them and tuck them down in there. And let's see, I got one more over here. Now my last video I just did, it was a pink flower. I did show covering the back of the wreath. I do actually have another video where I show it too. I'm not going to show it again on this one, but I will cover the back of this one. So what I'm going to do is I will link to that video as well, so you guys can see how I cover the backs of all of my flower wreaths. So like I said, there's just so many pipe cleaners that, you know, you basically just don't want to have the mess showing or, you know, scratching any walls or doors or anything like that. So that's it. I just attach it like that, and then I would just cover it with a piece of felt as I normally do. So flip it back over and just, you know, you tug on it. I mean, it's not going to go anywhere. So that is secure. So because it's burlap and we cut it, of course we do have little bits of fray here and there. Now it's completely up to you. You know, some of them they just pull right off or just little bits. It's completely up to you. You know, you could leave it and it's got a little bit of a shabby look. You can go around and, you know, trim it up. I know sometimes people will do the edges of the burlap pieces with like Mod Podge, something like that, to kind of seal them and prevent it. It's completely up to you, depending on the look that you want or that, you know, possibly your customer wants. So there really is no right or wrong way when it comes to that. Well, it's kind of as with it is most of things in wreath making. You know, it's more or less whatever works for you, whatever you like. So that's completely up to you. If you want to leave them there and, you know, kind of a rustic or shabby look, or if you want to, you know, seal your edges or trim them off. It's completely up to you. So I'm just going to put it on the wall now so you guys can see. Okay. Okay, so that is our finished flower. Like I said, the finished product is about 20 to 21 inches. And if you want something bigger finished size, you would just use a bigger frame. But like I said, you will need to use more material for it. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.